Have you been kind your whole life, only to become an easy target? We're often told to stay warm-hearted, patient, and forgiving. But the truth is, if you don't learn to live a little colder and more detached, you might just end up drained, manipulated, and exhausted. This video isn't about becoming harsh. It's about protecting your peace. Because being overly available, overly emotional, and overly agreeable can slowly chip away at the life you worked so hard to build. The lessons you'll hear today aren't about closing your heart. They're about choosing wisely where you open it, about learning how to give without being emptied, how to care without being consumed, and how to remain kind without being used. Stay with me until the end, because one of the final points might just shift how you see the rest of your life. Once you understand it, you'll wish someone had told you sooner. Let's get started. The older you get, the more precious your peace becomes. And one of the best ways to protect it is by letting go of emotional entanglements that once felt necessary. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start choosing where your care goes. After 70, not every argument deserves your energy. Not every family conflict needs your intervention. Not every unkind word needs a response. The fix: you've earned the right to keep your heart from being pulled in every direction, especially by people who expect more from you than they're willing to give. Take Robert, for example. At 81, he used to be the emotional rock of his family. Whenever there was a conflict, he was the first one called. He tried to mediate, smooth things over, and keep everyone happy. But then he realized his own days were growing shorter, and so much of his energy was spent on problems that weren't his. Now, Robert listens, but he doesn't fix. He supports, but he doesn't chase. And in doing so, he's found a peace he had been missing for decades. Living with emotional detachment means accepting that not every battle is yours to fight. It means walking away from drama, even when you're invited in. It means choosing silence over stress, distance over damage. And when people say you've become cold, what they really mean is that you've stopped being convenient. You've stopped absorbing everyone else's emotions and started protecting your own. And that shift, that's where freedom begins. After 70, your time and energy aren't just valuable, they're sacred. For decades, many of us were trained to be agreeable, to say yes, even when we meant no. But that kind of living leaves you tired, used up, and quietly resentful. The fix: living coldly means knowing that you're no longer here to be everything for everyone. And that's not selfish, that's survival. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're saying no to something you do want. Like rest, like peace, like simply doing nothing at all. Take Sandra, 76. She spent most of her life as the family's yes person, hosting holidays, babysitting at the last minute, canceling her own plans to accommodate others. Then one day, she realized, always saying yes had stolen years of her joy. Now, Sandra says no, kindly, firmly, and without explanation. And the world kept spinning. The people who truly cared adapted. And she finally got some peace. The fix: you don't need a reason to say no. You don't need to explain or soften your boundaries to make others comfortable. Because the people who love and respect you won't need a detailed excuse. And the ones who don't, they've been benefiting from your lack of boundaries for far too long. When you learn to say no from a place of love, not fear, you start reclaiming the life that's been waiting for you all along. As we get older, we start to realize something. While empathy is a beautiful trait, giving too much of it, too freely, too constantly, can slowly unravel our own well-being. The fix: selective empathy isn't about turning your heart off. It's about deciding where your heart goes, how often, and for how long. Because not everyone deserves the full weight of your concern. Take Gerald, 83. one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. But for decades, he internalized the pain of everyone around him. Friends struggling financially, neighbors in conflict, family members with failing relationships. He carried it all. Until one day, his doctor told him, "You can care, Gerald, but you don't have to collapse." That day, Gerald gave himself permission to care. Just enough to stay kind, but not so much that he lost himself. Selective empathy means listening without absorbing, supporting without sacrificing your peace. Because at this stage, you've earned the right to protect your own mental health first. Time becomes sacred after 70. Every moment has the power to lift you or drain you. The fix: living coldly means understanding that protecting your time isn't selfish. It's wise. Take Helen, 78. She used to say yes to every invitation. Church meetings, family gatherings, social clubs. But she noticed something. At the end of those long days, she didn't feel fulfilled. She felt depleted. So she stopped. She started choosing moments with care. Now, her schedule is lighter, but her spirit is fuller. Your time should reflect your values. If it doesn't, it's okay to step back. Because you don't owe your time to everyone who asks for it. People confuse kindness with availability. If you've always been dependable, you may have felt the slow erosion of your own needs. Saying yes when you wanted to say no. Tolerating disrespect just to keep the peace. The fix: living coldly means understanding that protecting your space isn't rude. It's essential. Louis, 81, was the family's rock. But over time, his generosity wasn't respected. It was expected. One day, Louis stopped. He started saying no. And something incredible happened. He felt free. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors with locks. You choose who gets in and how far. The fix: living coldly isn't about indifference. It's about emotional clarity. Eleanor, 84, used to lose sleep over her children's choices, until one day she realized her worry wasn't helping them. It was hurting her. Now, she offers love, advice when asked, and lets go. And for the first time in years, her mind is quiet. Living coldly after 70 doesn't mean shutting down. It means choosing peace over people-pleasing. What resonated with you most? Let us know in the comments. And if this video helped you, subscribe, like, and share. You've earned your peace. Now it's time to protect it.